Okay, Grace and no. Next. Michali.
Go to the control tower.
Heard you're out there near a matriarch, Raider. Stay safe, watch out for its kids, and make sure you brought the biggest guns you can carry if you decide to get in its way.
Προχώρασε, Μιχάλη.
Over there.
Hey. Michali, πάμε εκεί, πάμε τι είναι η άλλη πριν. Θέλω να το κάνω και εγώ αυτό, ρε. Θέλω να το δοκιμάσω εγώ. Έχει σπασμένη μάπα. Ρε, στο άλλο, πίσω. Α, διακόφηκες. Γιατί διακόφηκες. Α,
μιλώσω με το game αναγκαστικά. Το Discord πρέπει να χαλάει.
ωραία, καλά.
Λίγο. Λίγος.
Ένα-δύο. Michali, αν πεθάνω, σηκώνεται. Όχι! Στο βάλω κάτω. Να, εύκολα. Ναι, εύκολα πάνω και πειράζει. Φύγες. Δώσε. Πώς το καταφέρει. Κάτι. Όχι ρε, δεν το σε κατάφερε και ευκείς πάνω. Μπράβο Μιχάλη, έχεις ξεφύγει. Ναι. Ευχαριστώ Μιχάλη. Δεν είναι τυχαία που το κάνω. Ευχαριστώ Μιχάλη. Πρέπει να ανοίξετε. Άρα θέλει να μου πεις, θέλεις να περιμένουμε όσο να ανοίξουν το βιβλίο. Ξέρεις ότι μπορώ να βγω και που πάνω λέγε. Όχι, έλα να δεις. Το δεις τη σκάλα, αλλά και που το βάλα κάνει το zipline πριν τη σκάλα. Α, κάτω. Πάμε Μιχάλη. πετάψε. Μπορεί να μην είναι τα φάζια, να μην κάνεις sport. Allora. sehr zynisch. Ναι, Ακούω τους βρωμουλά. Fecho. Fecho. Perfeito. Έχουν μπεσκάλεις αν είναι. Οι άρμος τι σου σπάσαν τι ρε. Έγιο. Μπορεί να κατεβήκαμε πάλι κάτι. Βάλε κάτι, βάλε καμιά μάινη κάτι από κάτω. Σίγουρα μια μπομπά έτσι.
Explosive mine. There.
Σπάστη. stelline che fanno. Quase. Oh, tutti per salare. Fiato. E lì io Mario Settile.
Let's head home at the water treatment elevator. An Ark orbiter is en route. The safe window is closing. You have 10 minutes to return to Speranza. I repeat, 10 minutes. Raider flare.
400 κάτι μέτρα δηλαδή, Μιχάλη.
Let's move to that location.
Ω, είναι πολλά μακριά, ρε. Άρα είναι κάπου να κάνω.
Let's go to that location.
Φλέα. Α. Και εγώ το μάτρια θα το σπέζουμε. Μάτρια και κάτω.
Go to that location.
Certo. Oh, guarda. Deze ik zat huis gegaan. Ja, lastig. Καλή, βάζω τα αυγά να βράσουν και εύκολα. Ένα λεπτό.
In support of handling legacy things. Happy to hear that we were on the front page. So
deep inside these companies about what's going to happen in like 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, I would add one thing to that it's not adding something as in information, adding something as in sort of like a thing to think about, and that is that it's worth noting that if the costs were really going to get that low that fast, I think I would have expected Google's costs to be very low already. And I know it's a weird thing to say, but if you assume that there's any hardware component, like if you think that all 100x is going to come from software, then that seems okay, maybe that could happen. But if we're counting on a substantial portion of that 100x coming from infrastructure builds, it feels to me like Google has kind of been building AI-centric like stuff for quite some time and has gotten their thing that, like, their TPUs are very much just like, we built machines whose only purpose is to do this job. As opposed to, like, say, for example, NVIDIA, who's not doing that. Like, the NVIDIA cards are kind of, like, still in a weird, like, hybrid state where only the very latest NVIDIAs could be said to be focusing on AI, really, and even those are still a little bit hybrid feeling to me. So I could imagine if someone said, well, if all we had was NVIDIA to look at, maybe you could believe that, like, there's a very long lead time on hardware. So, we don't know what they, when they shifted probably 4 or 5 years ago to going like, oh my God, AI is going to be the biggest thing. We need to completely redesign everything to just focus on that. That stuff will only be, we'll only be seeing the end of that pipeline, now or something like that, right? So I could see that, but I feel like Google's kind of, am I wrong about this feature? But I feel like Google's been doing this for a long time. If there was if there was huge gains to be had by doing just AI hardware, I would have thought they'd have them already. Am I way off?
I'm not sure they don't, right? So
okay,
the first time I heard about TPU, I think the first time I heard that they were starting to work on it was like 2014 or something like that. So that's just when I heard about it, right? Like, I'm not a Google insider, so I'm sure, like, knowing how Google works, I'm sure that they were talking about that like 3 years before I heard about it in public, right? But when I first heard about TPU development was somewhere around 2014.
Yeah.
So I guess I have not been studying the like whatever internal economics reports Google puts out. It's possible that they are already substantially cheaper than.
I would think.
On operating costs substantially cheaper than OpenAI. I don't know, but this is something that's a common folk belief in the industry, which is like Google is sort of the quiet monster in the business because like if you compare them for a moment to say OpenAI, they have been infrastructure leaders forever. They have been AI leaders forever. Unlike OpenAI, they have they have. I'm trying not to say the word surveillance, but I'm just going to say surveillance on the entire internet, right? So they have just a constant flow of potentially trainable information, and XAI has that flow that is their own proprietary flow of data. So many people have this feeling of Google was kind of slow on the product side. I emphasize on the product side with like chat LLM products, but many people have this feeling of possibly Google is just going to quietly leverage all those advantages that nobody else has, and like XAI is the only one that's sort of close in having that capability. I mean, it's interesting to note that as far as I've seen in public, XAI, they're merging with Starlink. They're talking about with
SpaceX, yeah.
SpaceX, and they're talking now about orbital data centers. And something that I thought was interesting there was that the designs that they've talked about are GPU based, not TPU based. And I don't know if that's because they don't think they can build it up as well as Google did, or they don't think they can license it from. So I don't know, right? But the thing I will point out is that the designs I've seen. I mean, I guess I haven't looked in like 3 months, but the designs I've seen were estimates based on NVIDIA style GPUs and not TPUs. So they must know something, because this is the kind of thing that they do, right? Like the biggest competence advantage that I would put in the kind of Musk category of companies is the relentless execution on building and optimizing and streamlining physical stuff. That's something that they've been doing really well for a very long time. So anyway, that caught my eye, that the designs I saw were based on GPUs and not TPUs. And I do know that they're working on their own AI chips. I don't know that much about how far they are there, but it's interesting that when they were talking about the orbital data center designs, they were talking about conventional GPUs as we understand them.
I got to say, orbital data center is like the coolest sounding thing to build.
Yes.
Like it seems really not practical. I get there saying, oh, we're gonna have robots do it and it'll be outer space and it's really cool. But I feel like everyone's got to admit orbital data center is probably the coolest thing to say you could work at in software development. So
Yeah, I think based on what I've seen for orbital data centers, it sounds like it is either much cooler or much less cool than what you're thinking about, depending on your perspective, right? So, excuse me. If you're imagining like a giant building in space, it sounds like the kind of more leading designs that are like more plausible. They're more like Starlink. They're more like satellite clusters, where you just have lots of little things that talk to each other over light links, basically, for high-speed communication.
Well, and giant radiators, right?
And huge, flat.
It's almost all radiator, and then there's a little like nub in the center, that contains the GPUs, right?
Yeah.
that doesn't sound as cool as what I had in my head of a big skyscraper in outer space where we've got racks of GPUs and you can walk around in it and it's like really cool. But that's okay, because when you tell your parents that you work at an orbital data center, they won't know. So it's fine.
That's what they imagine. Is that.
Yeah. I say it's exactly like Star Wars, Mom and Dad. Trust me. Trust me.
Unfortunately, like, heat is just very, I guess, as the kids say, problematic in space. Like, you don't have anywhere
We
to
should
put
cancel
it.
it.
Like, it's very hard to get rid of heat in space. So this is a problem. As Dimitri was saying, you end up having to have a lot of surface area per chip. Like per heat generating NVIDIA, like GB200 or whatever. I mean, it won't be a GB200 by the time they get these things launched, but the
that's the thing I didn't get. What is the advantage then? Because in like, I get that it feels like if you talk to like a regular person about putting it in outer space, they're like, well, it's cold in outer space, so that's going to be really good for GPUs. But it's the opposite, I think, right? I mean, so I don't get.
It's not that it's not cold in outer space. Cold is the lack of available, like not
Yeah, yeah,
having
yeah.
energy.
Right.
There's no density, so you have nothing you can.
Yeah, I
spread
meant
to.
like more like they said cooling would be super easy. I feel like that's like the normie thing. If you say put something in,
Right.
it's like it'll be cold. Think it's like a huge refrigerator, bro. But that's not how heat works. So I get that part. So then what is the advantage? Why this is we also don't have to go way down this route, but I have been wondering this myself. So why do they want to put it in outer space?
Incredible investment, TJ. Like the amount of investments that are coming in will be.
The TAM, the
Yeah, the
TAM
TAM.
for outer space is big. Think about how many data centers we can put in outer space.
Well, it's free power and difficult but free cooling. Right?
Okay,
So if
gotcha.
if you can make the physics work, and I don't know, like they have
Yeah.
really really good like thermal people at. I mean, you can imagine they have very good thermal people at SpaceX. So I assume that they have done simulations that suggest to them that this can be made viable. But yeah, so it's free power and also like more free power than you would get for the same panel on Earth because there's no
Right.
atmosphere eating up your atmosphere or weather for that matter.
Yeah, no clouds.
Right. So free power and tricky but free cooling. And
Gotcha. So it's like when you build a really complicated thing, but then it's passive in a video game. I understand.
Right,
This
exactly.
this mechanic makes sense
Exactly
to me.
right. And
This
maybe
appeals
one
to
thing I
me.
would add, this is entirely business strategy speculation. So whatever, like take like poor big
It's financial
cup of salt
advice.
on
Got it.
it. Exactly right.
investing right now.
If it works, and you are Musk's AI team, and you just get to launch your AI into space, and everyone else is like fighting local governments and can I build a hydro plant here? Oh, how much do
Yeah.
we have to pay you to right?
Yeah.
And you'll just be like, we're going to space, right? Like you losers can hang out here. We're going to space. And by the way, if you want to go to space, you have to come through me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pretty much owns the passage to space, so
Yeah.
it's a pretty
I-
synergistic.
They can't ask Katy
business.
Perry. She's been outer space.
Well, and also like it's pretty trivial for like when you look at the projections for these sorts of things, it's all about launch cost. Like whether or not it makes sense to put a data center in space, a quote unquote data center in space. It's like here is the launch cost. Like at this launch
Got it.
cost, we think we could do it and that's based on like the failure rate of the thing, how long it's expected to be able to
Right.
be up there, all those sorts of things. And so at the end of the day, if you look at somewhere like SpaceX and they're like, well, for us, we could get our launch cost down to
Right.
$50 a kilogram or whatever the magic number is.
Yeah, can
We
you
just
put that in
charge everyone
pounds?
else $75 a kilogram, and then
Right.
it's not worth it for them to put it in space, or theirs will
Gotcha.
always be worse than ours, right? It's a very good position to be in, and a strangely profitable bet for SpaceX if it turns out that these are actually useful in the future.
So I think we should probably attempt to get a little bit more on a more practical approach to AI. I do think orbital data centers does sound amazing.
You don't want the title of this video to be orbital data centers.
There's
in
going to be
spa-
a
or, like,
section. There's going to be a
AI
segment
in
called
space,
orbital
Brian.
data
That's
centers.
how many clicks is that going to generate? Come
AI
on,
in
man.
space.
AI
That's
in
true.
Go ahead.
space.
So
That's
yeah,
my rock opera I'm writing. That's crazy.
Yes.
How did you know, Casey?
because I am also writing a rock opera called AI in Space. As it
Oh
turns
no!
out.
Oh, sick. We could collab.
Yep.
That's not going to happen. He's just going to take it all from you. Okay, so I guess we should we should probably talk. I think the number I get a lot of concerns from people, and one of the most frequent questions I've been getting lately is my future just reviewing code?
Yeah, so quite possible. Let me try to be measured in what I like, how likely I think that is. So look, one thing that I've been, I have discovered in my own work and that I've been saying publicly for a while now is, so I try to work on like repeatable and reproducible AI results. So like the bucket term I use for that has been reliable AI, but it turns out that there's a company called Reliable AI and it has nothing to do. So anyway, the thing that I think you can do right now, like completely hands off and not have to review anything, right? So this is what I mean by reliable, right? That like if I ask you, Teach, to whatever, go implement, like download this thing from this HTTP endpoint and like save it into the database and give me a dashboard that whatever calculates the averages of some things, right? I can just tell you that and expect the result and it will work and I don't have to talk to you about it again, right? So that's what I mean in this like, completely hands-off style. Right now, I think the limit of that is somewhere around a couple thousand lines of like relatively standard junior level code. And I want to emphasize, because some people have justifiably pushed back on this a bit. I'm not saying you can't do more by having oversight and doing multiple tries and having algorithmic test suites. I'm not saying you can't do more. Right now, what I'm talking about is what's the limit of what you can do hands off, and you can mostly just trust that it happens. I think at a minimum, we are going to go through a review-heavy phase, because the businesses are, as I'm sure you know, the businesses are trying to shove this into everyone's workflow, whether they like it or not, right? And I get lots of people, even in the AI business, who tell me, like, I hate how much they're trying to push us to use these things, right? I just want to do my job, but like they're monitoring my token usage. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is
anecdotally too, not just like literally. Like I have friends who are like, we have to use this tool. Part of my KPI is like we have to use Claude Code only. That's and my manager has a dashboard with my token count for the month, and it is a thing we talk about and review. Not even like, oh, you can use whatever one you want. We just want to see you guys experiment. They're like, you have to use Claude Code. You have to do this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, think about Amazon Kira. That's a lot of people are talking about that right now with the whole Amazon accidentally having several Sev 1s.
Yeah, they're like, you have to use our stuff to take ourselves down. If anyone's gonna bring it down, it's gonna be me. Okay, that's Amazon.
Make sure but we want to make sure our site goes down and our AI looks bad at the same time. We don't want like someone else's AI to look bad.
No, that would be mean. Yeah. Okay, if it's gonna go down because of AI, it's our AI.
Should be our
They're putting the I in AI. Okay,
there you
Casey.
go. Very good. Yes.
So yeah, Prime, on that point, I think it's very likely that we will go through a review-heavy phase. I think that at some point, like the workers will object to this enough that we're going to have to find something more acceptable, right? Because I don't know if you've tried it, but if you're just like reviewing stuff, like, you know, Claude dumps another thing on you every 5 minutes, you're like, okay, now I have to review this and approve and merge and whatever. Or I mean, you can just YOLO, right? But we've seen what happens if you just YOLO. So I do think we will, at a minimum, go through a mostly reviewing phase, and I think people are not going to like it. That's my expectation. I don't know how. I don't see what the alternative is right now, because the two possibilities I see right now are like they're going to be monitoring your token count, and so you need to be consuming and generating tokens, and then that has to get linked, which in some places they actually link the tokens to PRs, right? And so you need to be generating lots of PRs, you need to be consuming lots of tokens. How can you do that other than just generating many PRs with AI and reviewing and like hoping that you're not taking down prod by missing something in your review, right? So I don't know how we get out of that other than at some point the business side says, okay, like we can cool it, right? We're going to stop monitoring your token use, which I mean, I personally feel like that's not that different from a desktop monitor or like a keyboard monitor or something. It feels very invasive to me. Like, hey, I understand you're asking me. I think it's fair to ask me, hey, can you use this tool? Can you try to do better work? I think that's fair, right? Like ultimately you're being paid to do something for the business. I think it's fair for them to ask, hey, we'd like to be using these tools, and we think you can do whatever, like 20% more work if you use this. I think that's fair. I think the micro tracking feels worse than the past, and
it's really easy to game too, right? You just be like sequentially look at every single file, and it's just gonna be like dang, dang, dang. Like, dude, look off. I'm crushing the tokens.
I know people who are like at big techs who are working on stuff, and they have to do exactly what you're saying, and they're saying, I do this just to keep up appearances for my AI use, and by the end, my output changes maybe 10%, right?
I do like how it's literally just setting money on fire, and they're like, this makes me look fast. So that actually, before we got distracted on the orbital data centers, which I'll repeat, coolest name ever.
Super cool. Command and Conquer.
Cool. I was interested in some of your thoughts about sort of the tokenomics side of things, because right now it feels like people are burning a bunch of money trying stuff out and exploring and willing to just be like, oh yeah, you just spent $5,000 this month. Whereas before, like, you couldn't get like a $45 like online course
Right.
approved, and they're like, oh, but yeah, $5,000 of tokens for nothing. Yes, we're totally down for that. Do that every month. Because I was interested to if like if we're gonna see a big, or your thoughts on if we're gonna see a big push on like generating less, or like more focus on like we're gonna use more tools to check what's being generated. Because at some point, Claude just released their thing about code review, and they're like, yeah, usually it's like $15 or $25 a review, and you're like, well, that adds up kind of fast,
Yep.
Especially at the rate people are saying I'm shipping 10,000 lines of code a day, or I made a 300,000 line Ruby on Rails application for my blog. That's Gary Tan, by the way,
Yep,
Casey, in case you didn't see that tweet. Okay. Hey, he's boiling a lake, and then he's going to boil the ocean. All right, that's what he
Yep.
told us.
Yep.
Side note, I cannot tell if he's the most genius rage baiter of all time, but we can circle back to that on a different episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I'm interested in sort of that angle, because I do find like some tasks I can get done like a lot faster with letting agents work on it, or like agents spin on something like forever. It has a really clear outcome. There's some stuff I already have a bunch of patterns in my code base, spin, but I'm like, is everyone just going to be chill forever with me spending $500 of tokens overnight on this? That doesn't seem like what a business would like. I don't think we're going to get $500 of value back from this feature. So I don't know if you have any thoughts like in that vertical, or yeah.
So this is speculation.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So again, speculation. A lot of this is like principal agent problems for the business. So
Yeah.
it's like so there are for sure like CEOs and like one step down from CEOs who one way or another their personal benefit is tied to claiming that they did a lot with AI.
Yes,
Okay.
true. Yeah.
And as you know, in any big organization, you never just evaluate something for whether it's good or not. It has to be evaluated for some KPI, right? So
Yes.
there are people, I'm sure, like I haven't seen this personally, but I'm sure that something close to this exists, that there is someone with many millions of dollars worth of bonuses tied up to can I get our token usage to double this year, and can I get our PRs to increase by 20% as attributed to that token increase, right?
Right.
Like extremely bureaucratic thinking about using this new technology, right? So I'm
Yep.
sure that there are many people like that. And so those people, they're not spending their own money, right? They're spending the company's money.
Right.
They're telling you to spend the company's money to do something that makes the metric go up, that gets them a bonus, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how long that's going to last, but there's certainly right now a very large premium at multiple levels of the kind of the business stack, where people are like, why isn't your token usage doubling, right? And,
Right. Yes. Yeah.
To some people, it sounds like a joke. I have friends who literally, they say, my boss came and asked me, why hasn't my token usage doubled, right? But you only used $300 of Claude last month.
Honey,
and
you barely touched your Claude last month. What's going on?
Is something wrong, sweetheart?
Okay, so I do actually want to follow up on that, because this is this was one of the big things that has been going around, is this Amazon Kiro thing taking down everything. And now they're saying, hey, we're going to make it so that juniors and mid-level people who use generative AI must have a senior sign-off on this.
Can I do a quick question on that as well, Prime, which is, was there policy before seniors didn't have to review juniors' code?
Μιχάλη, κοιμάσαι.
Ωραία, κοιμάσαι.
Ρε, ένα λεπτό. Μιλά ξανά.
Παρακαλώ, μην περνάτε για τρελό.
Μιλά ξανά. Εντάξει. Μιχάλη, περίμενας. Περίμενας και μου μίλας. Google se vedere e te τελειώνει. Άρα, πουλούμε την ταχύτητα, Μιχάλη. Είμαι έτοιμος.
Shani speaking. Remember, Rita, if you stumble upon a crate, deliver it to a field depot so we can try to crack it open.
Allez, friendly. We're doing, yeah, we're doing good, guys.
Alright, enjoy. Hope you find everything.
Ahora, en Pepano. Ne faremo un altro degli vanno. Guarda come la vedo. Finale in banda degli gene di mo. Fanno in noi. Και... Α! Non devi mettere che abbiamo fatto. Alright. Ευχαριστώ. Τι κάνουμε, πάμε. Θα σκοτώσουμε λίπτα. Ωραία. Ποιο. Τι μας να θέλει. Πάμε.
Reaper, over there.
Θέλω και πέτω να φτιάχνω. Πάμε. Ω, είναι πάρα... Α, δεν ξέρω. Πιάστε το πάει. Άλλο είναι μέσα. Στην πρεσένα. Άντε. Ωραία, θέλεις ένα... Α, ναι, ναι. Ξέρεις ότι το τύπο μας επέξαν πρέπει να το πληρώσει. Παίξατε πρώτη. Α! Τόσο έκαμε σε έναν τάουρε. Α, σηκώσε τον πάλι, σηκώσε τον πάλι. E sì, cos'è tu? Dame, venas.
Raider, here.
Quella dame, vedo? Quando si mati, erkede.
There.